Hello, everybody out there. Hello, Star Seeds. Welcome to another podcast on my YouTube channel. Please remember to like and subscribe so you always get notified when the new video comes because there's a lot of them. If you check out my channel, there's a lot of them. So, we are here with Peter, my good friend. He lives in Scotland, and we've done part of his Akashic record reading a while ago, like more than a year ago, I know, because I lost my mom a year and a half ago, and it was before that. So it's been a while, but now I've added to it, and his story is gigantic. So we're gonna get into this. So let's become small, Peter. We'll share our big screen and become small. Okay, I'm gonna block this out in sections so that it looks a little smoother. This is your original reading, is what it's starting out with. I just added to the same file and I'll re-email it to you. But we don't need to go over that because you know that. Um, a lot of the stuff you might remember from last time.
Oh, I do. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So I did add a bunch more things, especially about Octurians, because that is the most prominent of your universal DNA. So I added a whole bunch more about them, where they come from. They actually a lot more information that I didn't tell you last time. Like they run the portal when people pass and they die. That portal is in that constellation. They run that portal, so energies pass, come and go through that portal when they make new contracts to come to this earth when it's time for them to leave this earth. So that's the Octarians. So I'm sure sometime in your life, just because you've had experience with this in past lives, I know you see spirits. You're some if you have some kind of mediumship gifts. Would you agree with that?
I, it's one of those things that to try and define what that actually means. Because I don't, I think it's unique to each individual.
Oh yeah, it comes across different to
Yeah.
everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's more like a sensory thing for me rather than a
Yeah.
visual thing.
Yeah.
It's like I don't see
Yeah.
spirits or anything like that, but
Yeah.
I get the sense of certain things.
Yeah.
And some people might say, "Oh, that's your intuition," but it's more than that. It's like a psychosensory feeling. That
Mhm.
um, where I feel that it's almost like there's a an ever ready media where there's two-way traffic that's
Yeah.
been established, it's flowing,
Yeah.
north and south, right?
Totally. Yeah. And you pick up on energies, so you're still reading that energy even if you can't actually see it like I can. You're still a medium even if you can't
Mm.
see them. So, but I bet that you could open up a lot more of your gifts where this is concerned if you wanted to start to see and you wanted to start to hear and have conversations and help the dead move on, you could enhance those gifts very easily. So, they are a part of that. They also, I added in here, um, they were the original when the knowledge was taken away from Earth after the Atlantis system. They were the keepers of the Akasha. They were the keepers of the records. They preserved them and made sure they kept going. But then they, as you know, the Akashic records became like more open and information is just starting to pour out of them at faster and faster rates now that people are like getting caught up to going up in dimensions and frequencies and understanding this information. Yeah, the it's just like faster, faster, faster. Every time I do an Akashic Records reading, the information is just coming faster and faster. It's crazy. So, since you're Octurian, you're a natural healer. We already went through this in your last reading, but you can heal with frequencies. So, if you could find your own frequency, pay attention to kind of how singers tune into themselves. If you can sing it all, like when you sing with the radio or you go into an echoey space and you sing, your voice will blend with that other voice and you won't be able to hear yourself anymore. It's just, it blends perfectly. So that's how you find your frequency too. So when you're getting in meditation and you're in that deep meditation, focus on your frequency and what it sounds like, and then start finding that frequency and other things in earth and match it up. And once you have that match, you can use that frequency to heal people. And frequency is the most powerful healing thing that there is on this earth, far beyond like modern medicine. Frequency is amazing. Frequency has even been shown to kill cancer cells. So, I don't tell anybody how to what to do in their life, but if I were you, I would start experimenting with frequencies and try to tap into yours so that you could tap into this gift and help people that might need your help that way. So, yeah, there's your this is the most prominent part of your universal DNA. And then I put this in your last reading. This is a page from your last reading, but it gets more in depth is
Yeah, I
what I
remember
was
this.
getting.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's just remember, and not just you, but anybody listening, time is not linear. Think of time more like a tornado. It is spinning all together all at one time. Your pasts and presents and futures are all interacting with each other. When you get deja vu, that's because you've already experienced that thing. You're catching up to what was in your future. So just remember that time is not linear. So yeah, you help them work on their ships and a lot of things, but you are also really connected. And I spelled this wrong in your slide. Hypo, sorry. Um, with Thoth and the Osiris device. So this is a power source to open portals and basically time travel. And you're a keeper of time. So you could do deep meditations where you call on Thoth and he has his own frequencies. And he's one of those beings that kind of never goes away. He has many, many avatars. And once one wears out, he just slides into another one. So even though most people think of him as part of the underworld, and I've worked with him a lot after everything that I've gone through in the last few years, I went into the underworld with him just to clear everything and work on myself. So, very rehabilitative if you could tap into this as well. Start researching the Osiris device. Don't look at like what a modern Egyptologist would say about it. Look into like what the ancient people said about it. Does that make sense?
Always
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and we've talked about Glastonbury a few times when we've
Mm.
talked. Um, this tower, sorry, is a representation of the sword. This is a cheesy image of King Arthur and the sword, but whatever, I couldn't find anything better. But it's a representation of Excalibur, and what that really is it works with the Earth's tilt. And so this is part of your timekeeping too. So you could think of the sword like going through the middle of Earth, and however the Earth is tilting, it changes what is happening on Earth. So right now, the Earth is shifting to a different dimension. And so that's why everything in the world seems really crazy right now. Those old people and those old power systems don't want to lose that control, and they could feel everything shifting and happening, and they don't want to lose that control. So this is a like the earth moves on its axis at different points, and that's what that sword represents when you hear about Excalibur. So since this is relatively close to you, I would go and visit this place because it's going to feel very, very powerful to you, and it's a part of your timekeeping. And you can call on Merlin and ask for his advice or ask any questions. Um, so, and I put this is your old reading still too, but I put in here when me, Raven, see it, I see something that looks like a never ending emerald rod when I see the
Mm.
sword. So that also goes back to Thoth and his emerald tablets. There's a version of the emerald tablets that's just kind of fiction and embellished a lot, but there's another copy that is the actual emerald tablets. So if you can find a copy of that, that would be a good read for you too. I have the actual author of the real one, and I'll send that to you if you need it. I just didn't put it in here for whatever slacky reason that I had. But yeah, so Thoth is very involved in all of this, and so are you. And so it connects to ley lines, the whole thing. So there's Thoth again. I'll run through some of this, but the rod is also like a sword. It's a representation of your chakras. Are they in alignment? Are they out of alignment? So you could think of your bio body as a stairway to heaven. This is your stairway, your chakras. And they are also linked. They're also called Excalibur, known as the Osiris device, consciousness, and the rod of Thoth. So keeping your chakras really healthy would be really important for you, especially.
Yeah.
So, if you go through Reiki sessions, that would be great. If you could do it on your own, whatever you have to do to keep those chakras really healthy. And we've gone through Atlantis before, where it rests now. It is still active, by the way, laying down here in the mid Atlantic Rift. Lemuria hangs out over here, but it's still active. When I meditate, I often go astral projecting and I will get dragged down through the ocean down to Atlantis. I've held the tablets in meditation when I've been down there. Um, I could still feel the energy from it. I could still hear the frequencies from it. You could still see life there. So Atlantis is a system that is intended to come back. So technically, everybody that's raising the vibrations of the earth, working on yourself, raising up through dimensions, getting out of these old systems and these ideas, the whole entire point is to unite the earth again under this system. Because when Atlantis was alive, the earth was completely linked. So that's why you see temples, pyramids, all of these ancient places all over the world with the same imagery and the same messages because it was all linked. So that's part of what we're doing here as well. And then I put in your last one about stone circles.
Mm.
You need to visit these. These are also part of keeping time. And you live so close to them. If you're not visiting them, you're like really doing yourself a disservice. I would visit every single one. So any of these places that you go and visit and connect with, it's only just going to bring out your gifts and help you understand them more because now you're actually standing in the place and feeling the power.
Yeah, I've been to a couple of them already, so no, I resonate with that.
Yeah. And we talked about this last time, that
Oh
you're
yeah.
the Order of the Dragons. and that's a very distinguished line. But you also had other lives at the same time. And this one is one that I expanded on a little bit more for this reading because you're doing, since time is not linear, you can be in more than one place at one time, and you're a keeper of time, so you could definitely time travel and work portals. You could do it now in this life too. All you got to do is remember how to do it. Um, but you are also Inky, part of the Anunnaki, and I've talked several times that I am an original member of the Anunnaki. Pine cones present themselves to me. I don't have my pine cone out here with me, but I have a pine cone that I hold on to when I do these readings, and I just automatically write. Like pine cones are a symbol of knowledge. Um, so we actually have like every time we talk and I say like we've known each other for like lifetimes. Like it's we just have. Um we have a huge genealogy tie because I was Kai and my twin flame is on or Anu, and I put some more history of Inky in here because he is very important. And I also put my link in here for my YouTube channel for you because there's videos on there about the Anunnaki. And Inky, just to break it down quickly, when people read in the Bible, like the Garden of Eden story, of course, it's not correct the way that it's written in the Bible, but another member of the Anunnaki, Enlil, finally perfected like a Homo sapien erectus, whatever it was, in our family line of trees of the all of our ancestors, and that could be smart and could be technological and wasn't just animal like. And he kept them in this very pristine place, and it was a garden. And he wanted them protected because he didn't want to lose what he had finally perfected and created. And the negative aliens that wreak havoc throughout the universe now, which are the draconians, were the people that were guarding these, were the aliens that were guarding these people in the garden so that they couldn't leave. And Inky decided, like, that's not cool. Like, they have the right to have freedom just like everybody else. You can't keep them locked up. Like, now we know how to do it. Like, why are you keeping these people locked up? So he wandered on in there and distracted the guards. And when they talk about the knowledge that they were given, he gave them the knowledge of life. So it's miscued in the Bible, but that's the story of the garden. And so, like many of your other lives throughout this, like you're very much, if something is wrong and needs to be fixed or somebody needs to be protected, those kind of things, like you're right there all the time. And that's been
Very true.
consistent through your all of your lives. And so that's Inky in a nutshell. But he came about because my twin on and everybody just like relationships in the universe are not like relationships on earth. Technically, yes, this was my brother, but technically, yes, he is my twin flame. And so we created life together as well, not just like offspring, but like life in the universe and on earth and different things. And we were separated. Enlil decided that we needed to be separated. And I haven't quite gotten all of the pieces of that puzzle yet. But when we were separated, Anu was very sad. And of course, I was too. We're connected to each other. And so he made other entities. He made Inky because he was lonely and he needed somebody. So our stories go way back. So here's just some more on Inky. If I'm going to study. And this is from your last one, this slide.
Mm.
I'm from Andromeda Galaxy. You're from Andromeda Constellation. So just remember that there's a lot of traveling around by the universal beings because there were wars. Venus was destroyed by nuclear war. Mars was destroyed by nuclear war. If anybody wants to question me on this, NASA's confirmed it. Anyway, so there was a lot of wars, and then had to become nomadic, which was back here where you actually helped them develop their spacecraft, which function like our bodies do. Like it's a bio tech machine. It supports life. It's a time machine. Yeah. So skills. And I put some more in here about Andromeda for you. Everything in the Milky Way was started in Andromeda Galaxy. And I am the link between the two. I'm the portal between the two. So get familiar with Andromeda. Start listening to sounds of the universe too. Like I listen to the sounds of Andromeda. I listen to the sounds of the planets, the moon. Some of them are kind of annoying and I don't like their sound, but others it's very soothing and it takes you there. So if you want to astral project, just Google the sound of Venus or wherever you want to go and start listening to the sounds out there in the universe. It's fascinating. You can hear music in there, you can hear talking in there. If you like just relax and let yourself go with it, it's really quite an experience. So you were part of the Mer people. I told you this last reading and Andromeda. Um, so Mer people lived there and the entire Stargate is there as well. So that's the portal that connected the galaxies. So you would definitely be aware of this Stargate because you can work portals. So when I say that you can work portals, how does what does that bring up for you?
Um, well, what comes to mind is accessing different dimensions because we are multidimensional.
Yes. Yeah. And you're living multiple lives all at one time.
Mm.
So, yeah, you can once you tap into frequency, you will remember how to work portals. So,
But like I can sense my like a past incarnation as the kind of warrior, the um, who would institute new blueprints for reality,
yeah.
but was usually done um, through war,
Yes.
through extreme violence.
Yes. And that's part of your story too. Definitely. And then you
Mm.
decided you didn't want that anymore. And so, yeah, we'll get to that in a second. But yeah,
Well, and it's almost like being an what I see it's like being an architect for a higher dimension.
yeah,
So, you're saying working with frequency, working with mastery, well, frequency mastery, quantum healing, sacred geometry,
yeah.
and architectural consciousness. I don't mean in terms of designing buildings,
Mm-mm.
but almost entire social and energetic frameworks
Yes.
based on cosmic laws.
Yes. I've got down here kind of down further that you control planetary alignments and shifts too. Just like you could control the earth. So these are things that you need to tap into because they're part of your massive big picture and you should start having that communication of what should I be doing? with these
Mm.
gifts in this time that I'm living in now, because it's obviously important and something needs to happen with it. So you could actually be the one that helps things move along to the better. So
Yeah.
definitely start researching these things and like just finding out how you can use this, what it would be used best for, all of those good things.
And you can see, on a earthly plane, we can, I can almost see. Um, I would say it's almost like an Arcturian blueprint,
Hmm.
whereby, like if you look at Saudi Arabia, the line, the megacity project,
Hmm.
that single narrow 170 kilometer, or 140 mile long urban space promising zero carbon emissions and vertical farms and AI governance.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, that's one mirror, but another one is Bhutan. If you look at Bhutan's gross national happiness
Hmm.
economic model, which replaced GDP
Yeah.
with well-being as the nation's key metric, I
Yes.
would see that as an Arcturian blueprint.
Yes. Definitely. And just like our entire school system and learning system in the United States was literally invented by JP Morgan. Why?
Yeah,
Because he didn't want people to be incredibly smart and succeed, because he wanted people to be workers.
yeah.
He invented that 9 to 5 grinding and fluorescent lights in your classroom and just the whole system. It was designed
Mm,
by him, and it's not a good system. Like kids are not taught to concentrate on themselves for a second. They're just shoved with these classes that, he deemed important, and classes that actually teach people who they are and the truth of where they come from, and teaching people how to help each other and tap into their own gifts and take care of themselves. Those kind of classes are never taught.
mm.
And so we're so trapped in this greed oligarch system, and
and
even
that
the
and, and
education system.
and that's why we need a new blueprint for a new reality that
Yeah.
escapes the fantasy and the
Yes.
myth of that old paradigm of consciousness. Because if we don't do that, then all that happens is that um, we just go back in time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
If you don't learn from your history, you're just gonna repeat it.
exactly.
Yeah.
But we have to have vision,
Hmm.
because vision without compassion becomes dystopia.
Yeah. Totally.
So I also think there are deeper psychological effects, um, in terms of nervous system, um,
Definitely.
mutation.
Hmm.
I think our nervous systems are mutating literally,
Yes.
because we're seeing now unprecedented spikes in sensory processing, sensitivity,
Hmm.
non-ordinary states of consciousness like NDEs.
Hmm.
Um, and I think there is a kind of a global empathy fatigue that's going on, because there's this psychological fragmentation from
Hmm.
information overload.
Hmm.
So we need that cosmic flame,
Yes.
um, to act, to that impulse,
Yes.
because we've got an already overworked, overstimulated brain. And locally, we only have to look at anxiety, depression,
Yeah.
especially amongst youth who feel disconnected from real life.
Yeah.
We're seeing mass protests fueled by a primal rage, that systems are failing basic human needs. Globally, we're seeing environmental grief and eco anxiety and a collapse of faith in governance structures. And I think
Yes.
personally, many people I speak to experiencing these dark nights, not just
Mhm.
spiritually, but neurochemically, in
Yes.
terms of dopamine exhaustion and cortisol overload, adrenal collapse,
And physically, like
and physically.
everything that life puts you through. And I'm getting more and more familiar with this because my business partner is an expert at physical ailments that come from different things that you go through in
Mm.
life. Um, just the stress of the way that the system runs, and you have to work and you have to make all this money, and if you're not making money, then it's like, how am I going to pay the bills and how am I going to buy the food, and everything is stress, 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 stress,
It's a
stress, go,
trap.
go, go, go. Yeah, it's a trap.
You get trapped,
Yes.
and I think that that's one of the key things is where trauma rewrites the nervous system, and that's one thing. But the other aspect of it is that sacred intentional living
Hmm.
can rewire humanity
Yes.
for beauty, for
Yes.
resilience, and for stewardship.
Yes. I tell everybody, it doesn't matter if you have never seen this person in your life, you don't even know they exist. But as soon as you start raising your vibrations, ascending, going through other dimensions, and tapping into that collective consciousness instead of the 3D collective consciousness,
Mm,
it doesn't matter if you've never seen these other people, you don't even know they're there. But as soon as you tap into it, you can feel every single one of them. You can
yeah.
feel how big it is. Of everybody is like sick of this crap. We're sick of this old ways of doing things. We know it's not right. And like the younger and younger that people get, they're like, no, we're not doing this.
And this is not a time for passive awakening.
Yeah.
This is a time for fierce, tender, disciplined dreamers.
Hmm.
Because I don't think we're here just to receive the light. We're
No.
here to build with it. We're here
Yes.
to bleed with it. We're here
Yes.
to birth with it.
Yes. We're part of it. It's in
Yeah.
you. Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, and that's kind of my warrior um, architect,
Yeah.
you know, to saying, hey, you know what? This sacred fire is awake,
Hmm.
and the time is now to rise and
Hmm.
become a builder of a new earth.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the earth is shifting to a higher dimension. Why?
Mm,
Because a lot of people are tapping into this of like, that is not the life that I want. And once you start exploring your universal lives and starting to remember them, it's always been really hard for me to live on this planet anyway. But now that I know my universal lives, understand why.
yeah,
And like me and my business partner, we constantly talk about like we know that you shouldn't have to work for anything. There is abundance of everything for everybody throughout the universe. And
mm.
it doesn't work like it works on Earth anywhere else.
And the other thing that springs to mind as well, because I now know that Neptune is in Aries for the next till 2039 or 2040.
Yeah.
So if I think about that, and there are all kinds of things I could talk about with that, but in term, what I'm actually feeling is this galactic tension
Hmm.
for the birth of a new humanity,
Yes.
because I'm thinking, the tides are rising, but they're not with the moon,
Hmm.
but with these invisible waves
Hmm.
that are pouring from the galactic center.
Yeah.
So I feel this new era has begun because Neptune has crossed in the threshold into Python. Neptune, sorry, Neptune has crossed the threshold into Aries
Hmm.
So the old myths are now breaking
Yeah.
open. So we're being subpoenaed and summoned to choose between unconscious destruction
Hmm.
and conscious creation.
Yeah, exactly. I love that line from that movie Jurassic Park. Um, Jeff Goldblum's character, whatever Malcolm something his name was the character, but he looked at the guy that created Jurassic Park and he's like, "You only thought if you could, you never thought if you should."
Yeah. Yeah, I
Like I'm
remember
not
that.
quoting it
Yeah.
exactly, but
No,
yeah,
but I know the scene. Yeah.
yeah. So it's
Yeah.
like that humans need to pay attention to that. Like,
Mm.
should you be doing this just because you can? Yeah.
Well,
So,
and you know the whole thing about this cycle as well, and I feel it's got this galactic influence as well. I'm not too schooled in that, but this is the end of the end of the dream of Pisces.
yeah.
This is the rise of the sacred fire,
Hmm.
because there are moments in history where the veil tears,
Yeah,
right? Not
exactly.
slowly,
Hmm.
but quite suddenly. And I think when that moment comes, if it's not already here, we don't have time to negotiate with reality.
No.
You either wake up or you act or you get
Yeah.
swept away.
Yes. And people need to just always like, even if you're not into these kinds of things and you're like, even if you think I'm just full of crap, some crazy person, whatever,
I
life
get that all the time.
changes. I know. Life changes all the time, even if it's not on this crazy kind of level we're talking about. So people need to stop resisting change and embrace good changes that need to happen and stop living in their fear shell because something is going to change.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And you know, an interesting thing, that there's a gentleman called Rick Levine who's an incredible astrologer. And one of the things that he said was, he said, you look at planets and you think they're these balls of solid rock,
yeah, no.
but actually they're frequencies. But because they move so slowly, we see them as material,
Mhm.
but actually they are frequencies.
Yes, the earth is a frequency too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's another reason. Start listening to things out there. It's very fascinating and I think it will help unlock all of the things. Like I keep saying I wish I could just fly over there and just like put them in some quantum meditation and
Hmm.
like go to some of these power spots cuz you can do so many amazing things. So you were a Syrian and I put this in your last reading. I'll scroll down here really quick. This is where you're getting that warrior. So you have reptilian DNA. There's good reptilians, which I've got over here.
Hmm.
These are the bad ones. Draconians are the ones that are keeping us in this 3D system of war and greed and fighting and anger and violence and all of this nasty crap that goes on Earth. And they're also the reason why the tilt is off so much. They have a device that keeps people at a lower vibration, and they know how to infiltrate governments and corporations and these things because they created them to make things like fluoride, for example. Fluoride clogs up your pineal gland and makes it so it doesn't function. So things like that, they're very aware of how to keep us in a lower vibration. So it's a fight for people
Hmm.
to get out of that state. But you have reptilian in your background. You were a warrior and you protected things. You lived a lot of warrior lives and your human lives too. But it wasn't because that you loved war. You did not like war, but you felt a need to protect. And then you because you still have love and caring and empathy in your system throughout your lives. You're like, okay, I don't want to be this warrior anymore. And that's when you've been to Syria a couple of times. One, you were kidnapped and taken to Orion, and you were a slave. And that's when you decided to go back to Sirius. And Sirius is a healing constellation, and they are like kind of the recovery experts. They're like the rebuilders. So your mind and your energy needed to shift out of I need to be a warrior to I need to be a lover, I need to be a healer. And that's when you spent a lot of time in Sirius, like transforming yourself, making your energy into something else so that you can take another form and not have to be that warrior. So you have both sides. You're a healer and a warrior. And then you have Venusian in you. We went through that last time. Um, so you're very much a part of what is known to be a sacred feminine environment. And that just means all you guys out there that get scared by that word, sacred feminine, that doesn't mean women want to conquer men and we think we're better than men. That literally just means it was an equal system and women were revered for what they were and what they can do, just as much as the men were. It was an equal society. So it wasn't a patriarchy.
Hey, in Paleolithic times, they discovered um, that bones were found where women
Mm-hmm.
had inscribed on the bone the lunar cycles of the moon
Mm-hmm.
to gauge their menstrual cycles.
Yeah, yeah,
This is like first century,
yeah.
before the first century.
Everyone in ancient times and Atlantean times used a lunar calendar. They did
Yeah.
not use the calendar that we do now. Yeah. So Venus was destroyed by nuclear war, and so they became nomadic as well. But this isn't the best image I could find of Venusians. They're actually much prettier.
Mm,
Best I could do for this. But so this is your part of your story, and it makes up a lot of your zodiac now of the
mm.
life that you lived here and remembering that.
We are the bridge generation.
Hmm.
We're the ones that look at the old world,
Hmm.
and some may grieve the old world, but we have to plant the seeds of the new ones with bloody hands and burning hearts.
Hmm.
This is our sacred fire.
Yeah.
This is our sacred fire, to let it burn with purpose,
Hmm.
but to also let it light the way home.
Yes. Yeah. It's all a big puzzle that's coming together. And so, like, so many chaotic things are happening, but especially as an empath, I just have to like ignore those and act like it's
Mm,
not happening because I'll just spiral. But like, so many awesome things are happening too. And you can tell that with the people and just wanting to change how things are done. It's important. Any way that somebody can jump in and change the way that things have been done, it's vitally important.
mm.
So the Mer people, this goes back to Sirius, and we talked about this in your last reading as well, because Sirius has Mer people, and you can pretty much communicate with them, and I see them whenever I'm around water. So there's great legends about them, especially in Scotland and Ireland and things like that off of those coasts. Stories of the Silkies, things like that. You can communicate with these beings. So, this was part of your old reading, but they definitely protect the oceans and the waterways. They
Mm.
have a tendency to do harm to those that would harm the world. So when you hear about, and not it, some was probably because of weather, whatever, but during like after Christopher Columbus and then all the ships started sailing over to America and killing all the people and all the just nastiness that happened there. Um, like the Mer people were part of the reason why a lot of those ships were dragged to the bottom of the ocean because they knew what they were doing. They knew it was wrong. They knew it was greed. They knew they were killing, slaughtering innocent people all over the world just to get their hands on gold and jewels. And so they literally pulled their ships to the bottom of the ocean. And so that's part of your warrior background too. Mer people are
Mm.
warriors too. And Earthlies, we went through this your last one. You were part of the Protestant Rebellion, the Jacobites. So you
Mm.
can look back on that if you want to, because it's not vitally important to what I'm going to say today. But that was what there you are being a warrior again. You're standing up against something because you felt like you had to. A king of England was coming to take your land, and you're like, no,
No.
that's not going to happen. Um, Vikings are in your background once again,
Mm.
another warrior.
It's
So
incredibly. I have to say that it's incredible you mentioning all this because I resonate. Like when I was watching the Vikings,
the
the
TV
Netflix
series,
TV, I was just
love
like,
that show.
oh,
Oh,
I'm there. I'm living it.
yeah,
Even though it's in my mind, but
yeah,
I'm sort of I'm feeling it seep into my sinews,
yes,
into my DNA. It's almost like, wow, yeah,
yeah,
I can resonate with all of this.
yeah. Like,
And
and I
it's
was
almost like a
Viking too,
remembering.
but I was a woman, and I was like
Ah,
a woman warrior Vikings. Like women had a lot of things that they did
yeah.
with the Vikings. So I remember the Vikings very well. And I always tell people, even if like I'm a total history nerd. Anybody knows me knows that, and I study history on a constant basis. I'm obsessed. But even if you hate history and it's just not your thing and you think it's boring, there's something in history that everybody is drawn to.
Mm,
And whatever you're drawn to in history pretty much guarantees that is a past life of yours. And the more you
yeah.
connect with it, the stronger it is.
Well, and I think this is one of those moments in human history where the very mist, looking at this picture, the very mist catches fire and the soft illusions of yesterday will burn away. And we will stand blinking at the beginning of a brand new world
Yeah.
because I think we're entering one of those moments.
Hmm.
We're entering the moment of, the signs of fire, of birth, of
Hmm.
battle. I feel we're standing at the threshold of a cosmic cycle.
Yeah.
This tide has been long building and it's about to crash
Hmm.
into the shores of human consciousness.
Yeah. And the universal beings have been, I mean, they're they can't say it any more clear. They've been saying it for centuries. As soon as we launched our first nuclear test, a UFO showed up because they were like, whoa,
Mm,
hey, what the fuck's going on down there? This isn't good. And they are very concerned about our aggression and our military like capabilities and the nuclear things. And they've tried to like do treaties with us where they've given us technology things, just trying to talk us out of ever using nukes. And so when you hear about like crashes at Roswell and recovered bodies and um, certain aliens helping us develop technology and having conversations with President Eisenhower, like all of those things are real.
Mm.
But they did it because they're like, can you please just not nuke the place to death? Like kind of trying to steer us another way, but we just never seem to listen and we never stop polluting the planet. And like they aren't about war. And so it's like, if they wanted to just destroy us, they could easily, because
Yeah.
they're easily. So there's nothing for people to be afraid of when it comes to this subject. But when they're constantly trying to give you warnings and your planet and the weather and nature and earthquakes and volcanoes and all of these crazy things are happening, it's a message like pay attention, you're ruining your environment. Like pay attention, wake up. And we're still not waking up. So, yeah,
Well,
something
and I think the shifts are subtle, but they're
subtle.
going to be seismic.
Yeah.
That those are going to shape the battles, the dreams,
Hmm.
the wounds, the awakenings of our world
Yeah.
from now until about 2039.
Hmm.
Because we this is, for me, my feeling is this is the birth of the spiritual warrior. And I don't mean that in the sense that we will be destroying things,
Right.
right? But this is more the current that is turning towards selfhood,
Hmm.
action, sovereignty, new birth, new blueprints,
Yeah.
a new awakening.
Yeah.
And it's this spark that is bursting forth from the void
Hmm.
that carries the innocence and the courage of the newborn, but also the raw, unchecked impulse that we do need to conquer, defend, and fight for survival. But it's not about conquering other people or conquering other countries. We have to conquer ourselves.
Yeah.
We have to
Yeah.
understand ourselves.
There was a reel on Instagram or whatever the other day, and I don't know who made it, but it made me laugh. 'Cause it was like, how I don't remember exactly what it said. It was like, how are y'all gonna expect to be able to communicate and get along with aliens when you can't even communicate and get along with yourselves? You
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Well, and this is the war. The dream of freedom is becomes a war for freedom
Hmm.
because there is a yearning for connection, and this yearning demands personal courage.
Yeah.
The spiritual ideal becomes a direct confrontation with the world's shadows, and here we are again,
Hmm.
but this time the battlefield is more complex
Hmm.
because identity itself is up for debate. Who
Hmm.
are we
Yeah.
spiritually,
Yeah.
nationally, sexually,
Yeah.
racially, politically? This has
Yeah.
all become a live wire.
Hmm.
So the dream of a unified humanity or sovereign individuality are colliding and converging at every turn. And we're
Yeah.
seeing this with climate, the whole climate debacle, technological revolution,
Hmm.
wars of territory and consciousness. These are all stirring the Neptunian tides.
Hmm.
So we are being asked not to just believe in a better world, but to fight for it,
Yeah.
to birth it, to become it in our very lives.
Yeah. And that's that collective consciousness I was talking
Yeah,
about. Like, just think of it as like this gigantic spider web, and you're a part of it. And there's different collective consciousnesses. Like, there's people that are very low vibrational and very angry people. That's their collective consciousness.
yeah.
So,
And we can, the thing is we can float And we have floated for decades in dreams and ideals and illusions. These are now evaporating.
Hmm.
These first fiery rays of Aries breaks that horizon. We are we are awakening, but awakening to me is not, oh wow, I'm just awakening. It's not peaceful.
No,
I
it is
feel it's going to
not.
be sudden, it's going to be sharp, sometimes it's going to be violent, but it's going to bring profound psychological changes, because I think there's a fine line between healthy self assertion
Mhm.
and spiritual narcissism.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very thin line, because
Hmm.
the temptation to make our personal path the absolute path only breeds violence and disillusionment
Yeah.
and zealotry. So we've got to ask ourselves again and again, is my fight fueled by soul or by ego?
Hmm.
Am I creating from love or from fear? And am I honoring the mystery, or am I trying to conquer it?
Yeah. And everybody needs to understand that the language of the universe is love. That's
Mm,
the way the universe works, apart from those beings that I talked about that cause so much trouble for everybody. But that's the language of the universe. And that's the only way to heal things. It's the only way to make things better. It's the only way to get rid of negative spirits is with love. Like, people need to learn to just embrace pure, true love, be kind to each other, be good to each other, no matter who you are, where you come from. And
yeah.
that's a lesson that humanity, for whatever reason, still hasn't learned. So hopefully, but I do know that this time they do not want the earth to go dark. Like, I was part of cutting off of that knowledge from the Atlantean system, and then the earth went really dark because we just took it.
Mm,
So you had the Romans, and that was like they're just running around everywhere, like, oh, that looks nice. I think I'll take it and slaughter you all. And then the Europeans learned very well from the Romans, and they did the same thing when they sailed over to the Americas. Oh, that looks nice. I'm going to kill you all. And so we need to get out of these kind of mind frames and realize that we are literally all one. And anybody that's even Christian, you guys always talk about everybody's brothers and sisters. Well, we are. So start acting
yeah,
like it, right?
yeah. Well, and this is the calling to spiritual courage. This is the calling to live our ideals. This is the calling to incarnate our visions. This
Mhm.
is the calling to act not from wounded reactivity, but from fierce, compassionate alignment.
Yeah.
It's now time to become a spiritual warrior, not to destroy, but warriors who protect the sacred,
Yes.
because warriors who build what must be built and heal what can be healed, and who walk forward even when the path is shrouded in mist.
Yeah.
And really interestingly, before this reading, I did a tarot and I drew this card.
What is it? The justice card?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the
So
justice card.
it's the light and the, you can see it's the light
Yeah.
and the dark.
Hmm.
On the one hand, there's the scales. So on the one hand, you've got on the one hand, you've got the darkness and the lack of success, and in the right hand, in his right hand, you've got the presence of darkness
Hmm.
with the scales, though, so that all weighing and balancing of one's life takes place in darkness, in that the outcome of events is not known beforehand, and he's also blindfolded, you see,
Hmm.
um, so that he can be seen to be impartial in his justice. And in his hand, he carries the sword of truth to protect and defend the path. And the symbol of the triangle and the cross speaks of great things to be won and upheld by treading the path beyond the guardian.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting, in terms of the reading that you've now put forward and drawing this card.
Yeah. That is a huge part of just keeping like shifting everything.
Mm,
And I just remind everybody, and I have to remind myself too. And like I'm just one person, like what am I doing that's making such a difference, you know? But then I have to remind myself I'm part of that collective consciousness. That's massive.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the questions I've been asking myself are, what dreams live inside of me that are waiting to be born, or sorry, that are ready to be born?
Hmm.
Where is my soul calling me to act with courage? And how can I fight not against life, but for it?
Yeah. You could probably go into some deep meditation with Thoth, like I did for some of those things.
Yeah.
It's that was quite an adventure. Like
Hmm.
you do go in the underworld, and I'm sure it's different for everybody because you're in meditation and interacting with a universal being. But um, I was in one of those old ancient Egyptian boats. I was in pitch darkness and floating down water. He was guiding the boat. I could see things moving around me. I could hear people talking once in a while. Sometimes it was dead quiet, except for the ripple of the water. But I felt safe because he was driving the boat.
Hmm.
Even though I was processing very dark things, I felt safe. So,
Hmm.
yeah. Um,
Yeah. And I feel like I'm carrying medicine in my hands
mm,
and prayers in my breath.
yeah, that's frequency. Mm.
Hmm.
So, some of your other things, your stingray, that's your spirit animal. That's from last time.
Ah, yeah, I remember this. Yes.
And you have, even though you have an affinity for water just because of your past
Oh,
lives.
definitely.
Yeah.
That's where I thrive.
Yeah.
And everywhere I go, I always go to, interestingly, mer in French is sea.
Hmm.
Mer people,
Yeah.
sea people.
See people.
And so la mer is the sea, or
Yeah.
the mer, yeah, it's the sea. So, yeah, I always gravitate towards water.
Yeah. So this is like pretty much the last of your last reading. And this
Mm.
is where I started to add on to it.
Ah,
So I don't know if you've watched any documentaries or news footage about this device that they found off of Greece somewhere.
yes, yes, I heard
Yeah.
about this.
Well, this is connected to you. It's like, all right, this is gonna get interesting. Um,
Antikytheria.
so there's a question I put in here is do you feel connected when natural disasters happen?
Yeah.
Yeah. This this is part of that kind of system. It obviously doesn't work anymore, but time isn't just, what time is it right now? What week is it? How many years have I been living? But time is also the rotation of the planets, the tilting of
Mm,
the earth, the tides is also another form of time. So the moon is involved. Um, and these kind of devices can control natural disasters,
mm.
is what I got from it.
Yeah, because this was found at the bottom of the Aegean, wasn't it? The Aegean
Yeah, I
Sea,
think so.
2,000-year-old analog. So I'm just looking it up. But um, yeah, it's now that I've seen this, something really matters about this because you mentioned time as well. And this is almost like the ancient clock of the soul,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Um, because just like that mechanism, many of us have become rusted and broken,
Hmm.
and we're surrounded by fake time where we're
Yes.
endlessly scrolling.
Hmm.
You have all of these infinite marketing loops.
Hmm.
You've got these dopamine cycles that are designed to enslave you and enslave your attention. So, have we forgotten the sacred rhythms of real time, the lunar impulse, the solar breath?
Yeah. And and here's a just bizarre thing of time that I just came across today. There's a dam in China, and apparently it's a massive dam. But because of how big this dam is, they slowed down the rotation of the earth by how much
Wow.
water this dam moves. So
Mm.
you never know what's going to affect time. Yeah. So,
Well, and interestingly enough, neuroscience has now validated biological clocks or
yeah.
our circadian genes, which is called chronobiology, chronos from the Greek time, that align with cosmic rhythms.
Yes. Yeah. And everybody needs to get themselves in line with their cosmic rhythm.
Mm,
Find their frequency, find that peace, find like it's yeah, life is just not worth living in an angry, confused state. So that's why I want so many people to just have this knowledge, like whatever their stories are, and just awaken. That's my mission in life. Well, that's not the only thing I'm doing, but I just I want everybody to know the truth so that they don't feel trapped in these systems and ugh, yeah.
well, we need to rebuild the cosmic clock.
Yes. Yes. So when I have things like this type of thing come up in my Akashic readings, I focus on that thing and I put myself with it and I take myself to it and I feel it energy wise and I'm figuring it out and I start to see my past life with that thing and what did I do with that thing and how did it
Mm,
affect anything what I did with it. So do the same thing with this reading and focus on these things, focus on these places that you should go, focus on the devices that we're talking about, even like the sword of Excalibur, like focus on it and ask the universal beings to show you the truth of what did I do with this? What happened with this?
mm,
Kind of thing. And you'll get those answers. So Akashic records are like giving you the pieces of the puzzle. And since I can read them and I do my own, like if you look at my Akashic records, I have notebooks and notebooks and notebooks full of stuff because I get new downloads all the time. So nobody's story ever stops. It's
well, it's
always
a
added onto.
well, it's a moving diagram, isn't
Oh
it?
yeah.
It's yeah, and this is the whole thing of the clock, because if I think about this next cycle of Neptune in Aries, Neptune is water, Aries is fire. So the fire of Aries will melt the rust,
Hmm.
but Neptune will soften the broken gears. So what are we being called upon? What are we being asked to do when we're not just being asked to survive, we're being asked to rebuild, not with metal, but with memory, and not
Yeah.
with wires, but with wonder,
Hmm.
and not with conquest, but with care.
Yeah.
So, are we the new mechanism? Are we the new clock of Earth?
We're part of it. Yeah,
Yeah, I love
definitely.
this place. I love this place.
So
I went to
this
the North
has
Rim. I
you
love
did
it. Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
Grand
yeah.
Canyon is there's
Oh,
like Mount Shasta is the root chakra of the earth. The Grand Canyon is the library. There are so
Wow.
many mysteries in the Grand Canyon and so many places that have even yet to be explored. People get lost there and never come out of there. People get drawn into portals there. There's all kinds of alien activity around this place on a constant basis. I just because of all the work that I do and finding out who I am and like what you are in the universe and different things, I know the librarian. She is my friend. Um, she's not exactly tapped in. She knows her story and what happened, but she's not the universe hasn't quite told her yet how to tap back into it. So she's not
Mm.
quite there yet. But in the Grand Canyon there are hieroglyphs from Egypt. There's been statuary from Egypt found there. Things from other places in the world, like China. So the Grand Canyon holds a ton of mysteries. And
Oh yeah.
if you ever want to get like down into the stories, if you ever come to America and can go to the Grand Canyon again, try to see if you can speak to the Hopi Indians about
Oh.
this place because
Oh.
they know.
Yeah. Wow. Uh
But
sorry, I'm
this is
just
part of time too because it's the library, it's knowledge, and it's
can I just share some my screen with you?
yeah. Do I have to unshare?
Don't know.
Okay, I'll unshare just in
Can you
case.
see that?
I could see. Yeah, there we go.
That's one of the shots I took,
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
right?
Look
I
how
was standing right
big.
on the rim, on the edge there, just
Oh,
and here's another.
oh, that one's really cool. You
Isn't
got the
that beautiful?
mesas. Yeah.
Um, that's the same one. But I also got and it was a just see if I can find it very quickly.
Ooh, that one's cool.
I just love this place. I was mentally mesmerized
Yes.
for some odd reason, but I had an image of just see if it comes up. I think that's the
Oh,
Colorado
you got the
River,
spot. Yes, that's the spot I
right?
have in my image.
Is it?
This is where they Y. And this place right here-ish, or maybe it's this one. Anyway, I can't see what's on the other side of this cliff. But this place is the where they Y and the water kind of turns colors and it's very blue looking where it splits off from the Colorado River. That little
Wow.
island spot, it's super hard to get to,
Well, here,
but the Hopi, it's considered sacred. It is a sacred
oh,
power spot.
really?
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me. Okay, I'll just stop that share. Yeah, but I was speaking to one of the he wasn't a sheriff, but he was one of the park guys. I can't remember what you call them.
Yeah.
Um, and he said to me in the he said to me in the 40s and 50s, people would bring their spouses here and try and take shots of them. I don't know if he was kidding. And he'd say, just step back a bit more, just step back a bit more, and they would fall. And it was a mile drop. And I said to him, what happens if somebody falls? He said, we don't bother
They
because
can't get there. Yeah,
you
they
can't
can't
get
get
there.
there.
And he said the animals would,
Yeah.
the
There's
wildlife would get them.
there's a lot of planes that crash over the Grand Canyon
Oh,
area
really?
and there's they get lost. Like if you find them, it's remarkable.
Wow. Because I wanted to go to the South Rim, but it was closed because of the weather or something. I couldn't
Yeah,
remember, but
because there's a
yeah,
lot
but
of kind of like the Bermuda Triangle in some ways. Like they'll get like
yeah.
really high spikes of EMF, and then
Oh
it just kind
wow.
of messes with aircraft and whatever strange things happen in the Grand Canyon. Very,
Uh,
very strange things. So if you get a chance to go back there, you're a part of
oh,
this story.
definitely. Um,
And if you ever want to talk to the librarian, I can probably get us all on a podcast. I've been trying to get her on. She's been on my podcast before, but we haven't gotten into talking about the library
oh,
because
really?
she likes to travel, and so it's hard to like catch her. So she's always going somewhere. Um, but this was on your past reading, the Lyra Vega Wars. So you were one of the reptilians that helped these beings defend themselves during these wars, and then they had to become nomadic as well. But I put more in here about your story and what this universal being race is. So
Mm.
it's the home of human consciousness. Um,
Which is my whole world, really,
yeah.
a part of it.
So our humanity story pretty much began with the Lyrans. And if you look at, you know, old temples, pyramids, ancient sites
Mm.
like that, even sites that are outside of Africa, they have lion imagery. And there's a reason
Yes.
for that. So
Yes.
there's a reason why the Sphinx has a lion body but a human head.
Mm.
So things kind of started off here. Um, but it started in Andromeda Galaxy, but like passed along responsibilities to other people, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so there's just more about the Lyrans. Um, Andromeda Galaxy is always called the Mother Galaxy. And so if you ever hear that, somebody's talking about Andromeda Galaxy. And it was the splitting off into duality consciousness.
Mm.
That is what happened when the split from the Milky Way and Andromeda happened. But the Lyrans were in this and made it happen. And there's just more story about what happened there with that star system and the two galaxies. And eventually, the two galaxies will collide and become one again. Even NASA says that. I mean, it's like however long in the future, but it will eventually happen.
And interestingly enough, it says here in an area between the constellations of Scorpio and Sagittarius. Well, I'm my sun sign's in Scorpio, but my
Yeah,
rising sign is Sagittarius.
yeah, I know. It matches up perfectly.
Interesting.
So you can learn these portals and all of these things. Just tune into your frequency, and then the Anunnaki kind of sprang out from these Lyrans and places to finish creating humanity. So
Mm.
as you could tell from humanity's life tree of life, we're not it's not that picture of the Darwin thing where like first we were crawling and then we
Oh
split and
yeah,
then now we're erect. Like
yeah.
he was on to something there, but our family tree literally looks like anybody's family tree. Like we've got Homo sapiens, we got Homo erectus, and um,
Mm.
the cave people, whatever they were called. I can't remember right now. There's a whole bunch of terms in there, Homo of everything. It's so many terms that I didn't even know existed, and we're all basically intermixed and intermingled. And now science has the ability, I'm sure it's very expensive, but they have the ability to take your DNA back that far to tell you if you were like a caveman. It's so cool. I just found that out the other day. I was like, right on.
Mm.
Like now we can take our DNA like clear back and see if we were like how far back this human tree goes with us.
Yeah.
Neanderthal, that's what I was trying to think of.
Oh,
But
Neanderthal. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so our human tree looks just like any other family tree. It's not that line of like, oh, we were like apes and now we stood up and there's Homo sapiens. Yeah. But this is the other side of Lyra, the Vega side, the avian side. So
Hmm.
I have a lot of Lyra Vega in me as well. Obviously I'm avian, I'm raven. Um, but cats mingle with me just perfectly well too. So you can kind of judge, especially this one because they have animal characteristics or any of the insectoid type universal beings. Um, any animals that are attracted to you, there's something going on there. So like
Mm.
if it's certain kinds of animals, pay attention to it. If like me, I can just bring all the animals to me like I'm Snow White or something. I'm just an animal whisperer, but yeah, pay attention to birds and how they react around you, cats and how they react around you.
Mm.
These beings were also in South America doing a lot of things there in the ancient times. I'm talking like before the Aztecs, before the Mayans, the Peruvians. So, calling the beings to you. I put that here because I'm going to tell you how to do that so I didn't forget. But I put all these question marks here because I want to know if any of this is going on with you.
All of it.
Yeah, I figured. So you're getting a ton of downloads. And
Mm.
sometimes I even have to say, whoa, like pump the brakes. Like I'm getting exhausted. I can't sleep. You're waking me up at night. Like, yeah. And it's okay to say, like, slow down. Like, this is going too
Yeah.
fast because we're literally shifting our reality. So
Mm.
if it becomes too much and too stressful, just be like, whoa, slow down there a little. But all of these are because you're getting massive amounts of downloads about who you are and what you're supposed to do.
Mm. Interesting.
And to I put these images in here because this is how you call the beings to you. So it's all projecting out from your energy and you send it out into the universe. And you're like, I'm Peter. This is my full name. This is when I was born, just like I used to get the Akashic Records. And you put a visual out there. I'm on Earth. This is where I am. And then you narrow it in even more. Okay, what country am I in? And you're showing that and projecting it out to the universe. And then you narrow it down even more. What town am I in? And obviously I put this here for you because you're in Scotland. But
Mm.
you just keep narrowing it down and narrowing it down. You start showing them where you were born. So like I was born in Columbus, Ohio, so I show them that. And then I start shifting. Like now I'm in the state of Utah and now I'm in this town in Utah, and I keep narrowing it down. And this is how you get them to come to you, and you have this giant light show going on around you. Their crafts will show up. You'll see them in the sky. They'll be hovering around you. If you ever watch any videos with Dr. Stephen Greer, he's on the Gaia app a lot.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He does this, he knows how to do this. I've done it a few times and then tragedy hit my life and I'm a little out of practice and I need to practice some more. But it's all just in the concentration. So you just keep concentrating on it. And when they're around you, all you feel is this just tremendous peace, joy, harmony, love, and you don't want them to go away. Like you're begging for them to stay.
Mm.
It's amazing. So that's how you call them to you
Beautiful.
if you want that kind of interaction. But you can also just call on them like your Octurian. Call on those Octurians to help you when you need healed, when you're having
Mm,
stress, all of those things. I call on multiple beings when I am in a very bad time, all the time. And I can feel them with me. I can communicate with them. I can talk with them. And you can do all of these things too. It just takes practice.
mm,
And every single human can communicate telepathically. We've just forgotten the skill because that's what society has put on us throughout time.
mm.
So I practice communicating telepathically with my friends. Like we have test your intuition type fun nights where we all get around and we'll like telepathically communicate or draw something on a piece of paper and figure out what it is when you can't see it kind of things. And that's how you practice. But it's very it's a very cool experience and it's definitely one that I never wanted it to end. It was the most amazing thing ever. And it just reminded me of all my past lives in the universe. And I just wanted to like bail off of this planet and be like, take me with you, please. Yeah,
Not yet.
I know, unfortunately. Um, so I put in here, you also have some, not, I shouldn't have put the word control because you don't control the whole thing, but you have something
Influence.
to do with planetary alignment because you're a timekeeper. So solar activity, the alignments, DNA activations that are happening to people, the weather with that device back there, you're the keeper of time on Earth, and that's how you help her. So that's why I'm saying invest yourself into like going to these places that I'm talking about, focusing on
Mm,
these devices and asking the universal beings, what should I be doing with this? Like, you're already into reading people's astrological charts. And so that's already diving into it, and you've got that knowledge already there. You just have to increase it and remember who you are and what you can do, because that'll push the earth along even faster.
mm.
It's exciting.
It's exciting, and it's important for me to say that it's not predictive astrology; it's evolutionary astrology,
Yes.
and it's really I am looking into the galactic aspect of it as well
Hmm.
because I think that's being part of um, a sacred fire carrier because
Yes.
it's not a time to be passive.
No.
It's really a time to rise raw and real,
Yeah.
maybe imperfect, um, and dare to dream, not just for me or just
Hmm.
for ourselves, but for those yet to come,
Yeah.
for generations yet to come.
Yeah. Definitely. And if you look at just thinking of the generations, the babies that are being born right now, I don't know if you've had a chance to be around one or interact with one or whatever, but they're pretty much spouting out like pure alien.
Mm,
They're so like I can't even put it into words. Like I used to work at Primary Children's Hospital in the infant unit, so I've been around a lot of babies, and they're all special, of course. But these new babies being born, it's like just look into their eyes, and you can feel it. They are reading you. They're studying you. They know what you're thinking. Like they're just being born out like alien babies. So, the the human DNA is like probably very little if somebody really wanted to study that, even though they still, and their appearances are changing. I mean, of course, they still look human, but their eyes are getting bigger, they're getting brighter, those kinds of things. So their appearances are changing too. And our appearances will change as humanity goes
mm,
along because the earth is shifting And the earth is going to change. Like our appearances look how they look right now, our height, the way we look, because of the foods we eat, because of what we're doing to our planet, everything that's in our environment, everything that's in our emotions and our consciousness and our energy, that is part of our appearance. And so when you hear the aliens say that, especially the grays or the insectoids, they're like, someday you will look like us. And that's
Mm,
why we have very close DNA to the gray aliens, and that's why you hear the stories of them abducting people or women being pregnant. They know they're pregnant, their gynecologist knows they're pregnant, they've had an ultrasound, and then boom, vanished. The baby's gone, but there's no
yeah.
signs of miscarriage, nothing like that. And they're taking babies. It's because their race is in trouble and they're trying to save it, and we're very closely related to them, DNA wise. So our appearances will continue to shift and change over time too.
Check this out.
Are you sharing something?
Yeah, can you see
Oh,
it?
no, I have to share.
Yeah.
No, no barking, no
Can you see
barking.
that?
Oh, I want to go there. I could feel that place right through that picture.
I
I have a lot of
was
past
right.
lives in Scotland.
I
Yeah.
was right there.
Oh my gosh. I'm so jealous. That is, oh my gosh, I could feel the power of that place.
Well, it's interesting you say go to these places. I do, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
I do go.
Yeah.
Um,
But
but
now you
it's
have like a new purpose and like,
mm,
let's study this sucker and figure out
yeah,
what's going on here.
and just as a
Oh, are you going to share something again?
yeah,
Okay.
is that okay?
Yeah, totally.
I mean, this is a place in America, um, and just this in. Well, hang on a second.
No barking,
No
fellas.
parking. Where is it? Sorry, no. So this is a place in the Lake District, and this I think this is such an old church. Let me share.
This is
Share.
in America.
No, in the UK.
Oh, okay. Ooh, wow.
It's so ancient. I think it's like 17th century.
Yeah.
This is in the Lake District
Oh my
in
gosh.
England. It's an incredible place.
See, I know if I ever got to England and Scotland, I would never come back here. Like
Really?
I have past lives there. That is my most like,
Ah,
even though I've never been there in this lifetime, that is my besides Louisiana. Louisiana is my favorite place in the United States. But
wow.
England and Scotland are my favorite places on the entire world.
I took this at the Grand Canyon.
Go find those Hopi people. They know
Wow.
all about it.
Right?
Yeah. And if you get lucky enough to be able to go on native lands in those areas, and you get lucky enough that they'll take you and show you like the pictographs that are hidden in the Grand Canyon and stuff.
Oh.
Oh yeah. That's something because they literally depict star people everywhere,
Oh,
all
really? Gosh.
over the place. Yeah.
Wow.
And the Hopi say that they came from the ant people. They came from under under the earth in the inner earth.
Mm.
And a pure Hopi Indian is not. I'm not trying to sound like a Nazi or something. I'm just saying like somebody that's just Hopi that hasn't had interbreeding with somebody else. If you DNA test them, what they say is true. Their specific DNA does not link up to any other human group on the face of this planet.
Wow.
And so it crossed off that whole, we crossed the land bridge from Asia and came over to the Americas. It changed the whole thing because they can't find anything that they are related to DNA wise. They're like a group of their own.
Gosh.
Yeah. I love the Hopi people. It's hard to get them to talk. They don't, they're like one of the Native American groups that kind of keep to themselves, keep their traditions and secrets
Yeah.
to themselves. But they're the most, oh my gosh, what a, wow, amazing
Yeah, I
group.
remember when I lived in Oklahoma, I spoke to he was a guy, he was an elder from the Oto tribe, and he gave me this amazing knife
Mm.
that he made with a bone handle.
Yeah, I
It
have
was
one of those
amazing. He gave
too.
it to me as
Yeah,
a gift.
yeah. I
Huge
have,
thing.
um, you can't see them because we're on camera, but I have native things all around my house. It's in my past lives, it's in my blood now, but not like, not my DNA now, but not enough to like say I'm from a certain tribe or something like that. So
Right.
I don't ever like say that I'm Native American, but all over my house there's Native American things
Mm,
everywhere. Um, but more hinges, and I actually added Gobekli Tepe in there because this is
oh
technically a
yeah.
hinge, and it's got lions in
Mm,
there. And this one right here, you're directly connected to this mound.
mm,
This is a portal. It is also a timekeeper. So you're directly connected to that one. So if you ever
where's
get a
that? Where
chance,
is that? Where is that? Is that in Ireland?
Ireland. So
I
I put
love
the link
Ireland.
right here so you can look it up
Oh,
if you
brilliant.
want,
Yeah.
but you're directly connected to that. So I would say that you probably had a hand in building it.
Wow. Interesting.
And I just put some more in here about Glastonbury and the tower. Um, so this is the device that controls the 3D life. The tilt of the Earth is off. That's why everything is kind of chaotic. We need to get it to shift back, and it is shifting. It's shifting to a higher dimension. So that's good. So if you could hone in on this rod and the sword thing with the tilt of the Earth and figure out how or what you're supposed to do to help get the Earth to back to where or where it's supposed to be next, that's part of you. It's in
Mm,
you. And you can probably definitely feel that the earth is like off in a lot of ways. Like
mm,
it needs not just shifts from people, but like it's just off.
yeah.
Yeah. And then
Beautiful.
I've got Lumeria on here because Atlantis was at the top, but you are very much affiliated with Mer people, and Mer people are part of Lumeria. And Lumeria is also part of the time system.
See, I actually wonder if in the next several years some of these ancient places will surface from the sea.
They will. Yeah. They're not going to look the same, obviously,
No.
and the systems will have to be rebuilt, and
Mm,
knowledge will have to be restored, and peace and harmony and all of those things have to happen before this happens. But like I said, they're still there. Their
yeah.
energy is still there. These places are still alive. We just can't see them. They're so far deep in the ocean, and they're hidden like that for a purpose. Like humans are not meant to find this right now.
Mm,
But we are, the whole point of this is to reactivate these places and have peace and harmony and these systems back on earth where the entire earth is united, and that's the way that it used to be. People could travel through portals, like go to Egypt and go back to South America. Like the entire world was connected. That's why
yeah.
everything in the ancient world looks. the same. I mean, it's different, but it's the same. They talk about the same things. They draw the same things, even though it's depicted a little bit different. Serpent kings are talked about all over the world. Dragons are talked about all over the world.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So there's a reason for that. This is the last page that I added to your new reading. But this up here, it was really impressed upon me that
Wow.
you need to hone into this
Yeah, definitely.
and figure it out.
Yeah, actually, when I saw that, I wrote a note immediately
Oh, good.
because it just resonated with me. I was like, ah, yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
totally. And so
beautiful.
you'll see like where your last one ended, that was my last page for the last one, and then I started with this.
Mm.
So that is adding on to your reading. But does any of it just not make sense, or you're like,
Oh
no
no, it
freaking
all make
way?
Oh no, it all makes sense to me. It's obviously I have to do a bit more research into each of these things, but and it's really more of a connection thing than
Yeah,
anything else.
yeah,
But it's like you kind of supply me. It's like, look, here's the end of this wire. You just
hmm,
need to connect it to this one,
yeah,
and boom,
exactly.
you got a circuit going on there. So
Yes. And I like we talk all the time, and we need to keep talking more
yeah,
often. But
yeah.
I want to know what happens when you start digging into this and what more information you get, and like make sure and write it down. Like,
I will do. Well,
yeah.
I've got a Substack now, so I'm writing a lot more these days, and I'm going to write about this clock because
Yeah.
this dovetails into so many things. There are so many strands. I could weave a loom around
Yes.
this.
Yes. Like
So no,
time
thank
is
you.
the most complicated thing in our
Mm.
universe just because it encompasses so many things.
And the anagram of time is emit.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the last page,
Beautiful.
but
Thank you so much.
have you have so many gifts, and you're part of the system to restore our planet. And so, like I tell everybody else, once I meet somebody that's very special and important like this and has a big story, we all have to stay like in touch and connected and make those
Mm,
connections, and you know pray for those people to come into our lives that enhance us and enhance our gifts, and we can feed off each other and figure out how to make things better, and like that kind of attitude, you know?
well, we need to start a community.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we need to do is start a galactic community.
Yes. I've already got a little mini one started right here. Let's just grow that
Well,
sucker.
let's grow it. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm dead serious too.
Yeah,
You can't say
me
that to
too.
me because now I'm gonna be on it. I'm gonna be like, okay, Peter, and when we gonna get this going? Yeah,
Well,
and then like I have events and stuff all the time. Once we
yeah,
get more people involved, then it can be just be broadcast over Zoom, and everybody can get involved and
absolutely.
have your own group right there, just like and everybody doing the same thing all at one time. That is a powerful thing.
Mm,
Very powerful thing for change. So
yeah.
just everybody remember, keep love in your heart. That is the universal language. And that's the only way to make things better. And nobody is weak because you're a lover and not a fighter.
Mm,
Everybody will fight if they have to, because it's ingrained in everything to have a survival instinct. But my message to everybody is just like let go of the anger, let go of all these frustrations, let go of the hurt, like trust the process, face your fears, face the pains that you've gone through, clear yourself, heal yourself, and everything will just be so much better. Not that you won't go through hard times, but you'll have a big support system behind you too, because the more people that join this collective consciousness, then it's like even my little group that I've started here, we once a month we get together and we have healing sessions and just to make sure we're all like doing okay because like I can have days where I'm just down and out and just toned because of whatever's going on in my life or because of whatever planets are shifting in the out there in the universe or whatever the sun's doing and all kinds of things can affect what's going on with you. And so we get in and check in with each other once a month and have like meditative healing sessions just to make sure everybody's doing good. So we could
Mm,
start just spreading that over Zoom and getting more and more people involved.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Raven, for this. It's just been incredible, and I think, part of it is we are moving into a state of neuroplastic flux
Hmm.
because our brains are rewiring faster than ever. And
Yes.
that's in partly due to digital overstimulation.
Yeah.
And I think if that's left unresolved, then that can solidify into, rigid violent identity
Hmm.
structures. So I do see that the mutation and the healing of our nervous systems doesn't, it becomes a political act,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I don't mean political in the way that we see the political
No,
spectrum,
not yeah, not government.
um,
Yeah.
but not government. But I think that um,
It's a rebellious act.
it's a
Yeah.
rebellious act. Yeah, exactly.
And people I just did a podcast on my channel, which you guys can look that up on YouTube. Anybody out there, Psychic Empath Raven Willow, this will be there too. But I animated it. I wasn't on camera. I animated it and I just talked and I gave every single detail about the Akashic Records, the history, where they come from, what you can get from them, who can access them, how can you access them, is it scary, what's going to happen, um, how the control over Earth. And once you step into your own self and are just following yourself, that is a form of anarchy. And the people in
Mm,
power do not want you to do that. They want their
no.
system of control that they've always had. So,
Mm,
whether it's religion, whether it's school, and this is what you have to learn, and you have to get married and have kids and get a house and work yourself to death for somebody else for your life and ruin your body and whatever happened, like all of those old ideas, they want to keep us there. So this is a very dangerous thing for people to be going through ascension and saying basically F you, you're wrong, and this is not the way things are supposed to be. So everybody
yeah.
keep up the fight. Keep up
Yeah,
the
and
fight.
it's not pushing the Darwinian paradigm.
Yeah.
It's actually looking at saying, well, um, I just lost my train of thought there. But it's deconstructing, this old world that
Yeah.
we're in first,
Yeah.
and I think that um, there was something that Carl Jung said, which really resonated with me, where he said um, a good half of every treatment that probes at all deeply
Mm.
consists in the doctors examining themselves. It is
Mhm.
their own hurts that gives a measure of their power to heal.
Yeah.
And that's the meaning of the wounded physician.
Yeah.
So we have to heal ourselves. We
Yeah.
have to, you know, we have to connect to our intuition
Yeah.
and understand that yes, there's this central black hole, but
Hmm.
there are bright flares of light on a
Yeah.
daily basis that we
Yeah.
can connect to.
Yeah. It's a change in mindset and
Yeah,
thinking of the positive, even when maybe there doesn't seem like there is anything positive. And
and I, yeah, and
don't
I
don't
sorry, go on.
surrender. I don't want people to ever. surrender to whatever circumstances they think belongs to them, whatever, if it's
mm,
poverty, if it's not having the career you want or doing the things you want or whatever it is in life, you don't have to live like that. Like I don't care if you're homeless and don't have a cent to your name. If you put it out there in the universe, I need help. I need out of this situation. This is not me. This is me. And you know who
mm,
you really are, and you just keep going there, it will come to you. But if you just give up and relent to your situation, you're not going to help yourself.
mm.
So everybody stay positive. It's very important. And trust
Yeah.
me, I don't even know how I'm still alive at this point after what life has put me through the last decade. I'm literally I'm like I don't even know how I'm here because my empath I'm such a strong empath that I hurt terribly bad when I hurt. So, but I've had to fight my way back through it. Just fight, 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 fight. And that's the thing and learn to
Mm.
love yourself. That's the secret to everything.
Well, like I was saying earlier, it's not a time to be passive.
Yeah.
It is a time to, rise in a raw and real and imperfect way,
Mhm.
and and dare to dream, like I was saying earlier.
Yes.
It's not just for ourselves,
Yeah.
but it's for all
Everybody.
generations to
Yeah.
come. Yeah.
You need to want
So
success for other people, not just yourself.
exactly.
And yeah, we can go on and on about
Yeah.
this.
So thank you for walking with me into these deeper
Yeah.
waters. And
And
I
you
really,
can
really
call
appreciate your
me if
reading.
you have questions or you're like, I'm looking into this, but it's not
Well,
making sense. Like, yeah,
I need to do a deeper penetration into your reading as well,
yeah,
because we only touched the surface of it.
yeah. So we
There's a
need to
lot more
schedule
to
that.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, everybody out there will say goodbye for this podcast. This was a live Akashic Records reading. This is how it goes when you get Akashic Records reading from me. I get all of your information before I even meet you. I obviously know Peter already, but before I even meet you, I have your reading done. So, you can book a reading just by backpedaling a little bit and looking at my email on the last slide. You can message me there or find me on social media anywhere, YouTube. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, you guys. It's very important. It's a small channel and it's growing, but every little bit helps. Thank you, Peter, for being with us
Thank
today.
you, Raven. You're most welcome.
And I will talk to you very, very soon.
Take care.